You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of this week of the P3 podcast. We're back to this. Finish your point for all those people who were drooling and fucking gnashing their teeth waiting.
We can be like they are.
Come on, baby.
I gave up my intro for that.
Yeah, you did. Because it was supposed to be a snap quick thing. Because people are supposed to be like, fuck, I need to hear Beef's point. Oh, fuck, shit. Oh, God.
No one's like that.
I am. Go, Beef.
I bet you there are. I bet you there are. I think, so that's
Cranky.
why I think that Sergeant Slaughter absolutely should have been WCW champion at some point. I think that Hulk Hogan had way too much time. So I think Sergeant Slaughter should have been WCW champion at some point, you know, to help combat the Attitude Era.
He should have been WCW champion after the invasion storyline is when it should have happened.
All right. So my point here is that I said that comparing NXT to the main roster was apples and oranges, and I stand by that. NXT's a microcosm, man. And let's not forget that NXT booked itself because of the talent that Triple H put in place from the independent scene. He had the best of both worlds. He had the developments coming up. He had the indie guys, and he had the guys that he could pull over from NXT UK at any time. Now this is a bigger world, man, and like what Triple H had, the cult mentality on NXT, and that's what it was a niche cult will not work on the main roster. So Triple H has to think broader, and that's why it's a new world for Triple H. That's why he's new at this specific task, because he's going to be pulled in all directions. And we have to expect their growing pains, just like we're seeing with AEW. And again, no shade to AEW, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here today on this show. AEW continues to put on tremendous weekly content. They continue to put out perfect pay-per-view events. I believe, despite their shortcomings, I think that Triple H is going to run into some growing pains at some point. I don't want one of those growing pains to be Bray Wyatt, because Bray Wyatt has had 10 years and counting wasted so far.
Yep.
Okay.
They need to hit this now. I was previously on the, hey, let's have Sammy take the title off of Roman. Let's have Cody take the title off of Roman. Let's have fucking The Rock take the title off of Roman. I don't care. No. Scrap all of that. Every little fucking bit of it. Let's have Bray Wyatt take that title off of Roman Reigns.
Really? Okay, so now here's a question for you. You think that having Bray take the title off of Roman, let's put a date out there. You think in WrestleMania?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what happened whenever they did that with The Fiend? When he was came in white hot, and then they put the title on him only to fucking drop it to Goldberg.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. But I mean,
this is a case with Bray Wyatt where the title doesn't make the man makes the title, sort of thing.
Agreed.
And with Bray, with his character, even whenever he won the title as Swamp Wizard Bray Wyatt, when he won it in the Elimination Chamber, he didn't even really need it then. It was good that he got it. Like, once you put it on him, then you have to be very careful of how you book him. A title is needed eventually to give a little bit of a boost to somebody's character, respectively, even if the character is seemingly bigger than the title. Like John Cena, for example, could come back to WWE and doesn't need to win a title because he's John fucking Cena. Same with The Rock. Okay. Bray Wyatt is that white hot where he doesn't need a title right now. So I will disagree with you in saying, yeah, have Bray take the title off of Roman.
All right, maybe
Okay.
maybe that was a bit too hot.
That's
You're
a
probably
little bit
right.
too hot. All right, yeah. So bring it
But
down.
I mean,
just
like,
a notch. But
absolutely, they need to capitalize on what I'm saying right now.
Agree. They definitely need to capitalize. But what we were alluding to, I say we, like as in me and Pook, because I know Pook was kind of in there in the mix, was that with Bray and his creativity, he's being given a little bit more wiggle room. So I don't think that Bray is going to say, well, okay, I need a stable here. If his creative vision before he even came back for this character wasn't to include a stable, I don't think they're just going to throw that in there. I think honestly, I think this, whatever story he's telling right now, I believe has been, in the works in his mind for a quite some time before he even came back, because he was going through a lot of shit. And I think we're going to see that play out in this story arc with his character, with himself, however you want to look at him. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too worried that they're not going to capitalize this and, miss that mark and have it go sideways. I don't think he absolutely needs a stable, but if there is a stable that's going to be involved, I'm here for it, just because I want to see what Bray can do without the fucking creative leashes tied so damn tightly to him. But to your point about comparing NXT to the main roster as apple and oranges, whenever Poot said that comparing AEW to NXT was like apples and avocados, I'll give you, yeah, there's a big difference between the main roster and NXT in how they were presented, how they were, produced and everything like that. But the line is there, but it's not as thick of a line as you would believe, because everything they do in NXT from whenever Triple H was running it was to get people ready for those little nuances on WWE television, knowing where the hard camera is, things like that. The little nuances, making sure to utilize your facials more and stuff like that. All that stuff that, besides the in-ring work and besides the character development, those other things that you need to succeed on a live television program. But to say that Triple H doesn't, that just because he's only been in creative on the main roster for a short period of time, that somehow negates or this NXT stuff is less than, and that somehow that with Tony Khan running, having AEW for what they're on, 3 years now, a little over 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The fact is, yeah, Tony Khan's been, running AEW for 3 years now. Triple H has been running NXT for longer, and Triple H has also been, his whole wrestling career has been fucking exponentially longer than what Tony has been in any sort of the wrestling business. Tony has been a fan. So yeah, I would say pump the brakes.
But I mean, being a wrestler and having creative control over your character or your stable is not being the booker of a of a multi. And that's the thing, man. Like, NXT is a great property, and I loved NXT Black and Gold. I think it can get back to what it was, but it's not a $1 billion brand like the WWE Raw and SmackDown are.
It's part of it. It's part of it.
It is part of it, but it is a small minority. Raw and NXT run between 2 and 2.5 million viewers an episode. NXT has had 600,000. That is a percentage, roughly a fifth of that viewer base.
Okay, but look how long Raw and SmackDown have been on the air for compared to NXT. Yeah, I know, and I get it, that.
So that's why I'm saying that they are apples and oranges, because running a small town like fucking distillery is not the same as running fucking Anheuser-Busch. You have to work with what you have, and you have to fit in that window.
But
I think, and yeah, go ahead.
I think you're also you're not taking into account that H has the experience across the board. He
That's
I've
knows.
taken everything into account.
Man, Beef, normally I will give you the benefit of the doubt, but this time I'm like, I really feel like you're selling Triple H's. You know what? We'll even get serious. I think you are not taking into account Paul Levesque's full mind for the business on all levels. There was so much time. There was so much time. And the other thing is you're thinking like, okay, he ran NXT. That's cool. What was his role otherwise, Beef? What was his title? And just answer me and don't run off on the rails. What was his title?
I don't even remember. He was a vice president for something or other.
He was the He was the COO, Chief Operating Officer.
Yes.
COO. Right. And that was not just like on TV, him and Stephanie doing their, yay, woohoo, we're taking over everything. He was the Chief Operating Officer of WWE, not of NXT, of WWE. He knows what's going on. He has seen how to do it. He's had his fucking nose literally in everything. And I mean that across the entire world because damn that honker. The second but that's my point. I know is that I really feel like you're underselling this man's ability to see the forest through the trees on all levels.
I think we're in a Ransom stake mode here about the Fiend. I'm not rooting for Triple H to fail, and I don't think he's going to fail. But I think that there are going to be decisions that come in the next 12 to 15 months that make us go, all right, and kind of have a questioning what he's thinking. And again, for example,
we'll be keeping Bray Wyatt out of the title scene right away.
For example, let me throw this at you. Hit Row. All right, he brought them back. Great. But why though? They, without Swerve, aren't that great. So why bring them on NXT? Why commit so much time and resource to them? They don't have the cachet without Swerve Scott. So that is kind of the first thing. So, all right, and I hate to do this because Lord knows.
I feel like you don't. I feel like you don't hate to do what you're about to do.
CJ Perry, that's right, Miss was talking about Miro, all right? And somebody asked her about Miro, and she said, well, Tony Khan has his favorites, just like Vince had his favorites, just like Triple H has his favorites. And that's going to be the truth. I think that Triple H has his guys that are absolutely going to bubble to the top, and girls that are absolutely going to bubble to the top. And they're going to be different than Vince's guys. And I think we're seeing it already. Gargano looking hella strong. Cross looking hella strong. I think that there are going to be guys and girls that we thought were going to be the next so-and-so or, big time money or whatever that are going to get lost in the shuffle. And I think that's when that's when I think we're going to kind of see what I'm talking about. And people talking about getting out of their contract and things like that.
But the beauty of it is when somebody does cool off, what's one thing that they could do and that they have done back before NXT 2.0?
Move to NXT.
Have them go back down. And I hate to say go back down because I know for a long time we tried.
According to Triple H, when he fucking plugged it as the third brand, until fucking what's his nuts fucking jock sucking ESPN reporter that fucking can't get WWE's dick out of his mouth was like, oh, but what about whenever AEW beat NXT? And Triple H was like, well, it's developmental. Bull fucking shit. And that, so, okay, that told me one of the things I really need to know about Triple H. He needs to be fucking standard on. He needs to fucking stand by his fucking convictions. We had a conversation about that earlier tonight where you
Maybe
guys
he was
that
told to
I'm
say
a guy. By who? That's the thing. Like by your guys' reckoning, he is the end all be all now, right? So who the fuck is gonna tell Triple H to say anything?
No. When? How long ago was that? Whenever
Like
he
2
said
months
that?
ago, probably not even 2 months ago.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that. So there you go. There's your growing pain. There's your one thing that makes us go, huh? Or I don't agree with what H is doing. I don't agree with what he's saying. Is that there? So yeah, I'll give you that one.
And again, like just like in the same breath, I'm not going to say that Tony Khan's an abysmal failure. Not at all. Again, he puts on a top tier product, the best wrestling weekly show that they have out there, that have the best pay-per-views. That every time it ends, we go, man, what a fucking show.
Yeah, but
Tony Khan is a success despite all of the problems. I think that Triple H will be a success. I just think that there will be things that we go, huh, and kind of have to adjust our mentality a little bit.
Do you remember whenever we talked about Tony Khan having to go through growing pains eventually?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking okay, I'll bend and I'll bite a little bit. Triple H is going to have to go through some growing pains as well. But I think the growing pains are going to come from backstage, not from the talent. The talent already seems happy. I think it's not going to be the product that we see. I think it's going to be behind the scenes more so, which theoretically is where it should fucking be. Out of the public eye and behind the scenes.
And again, sorry, the fact is like now that there's a more cohesive how do I say a more cohesive relationship between NXT
mission statement
and
more cohesive modus operandi.
Because the fact that when Vince was in charge, that he didn't really pay attention to NXT. We said that before. He brought people up. He didn't know what to do with them. He underutilized them. He completely abandoned whatever they had done in NXT to build themselves up and build a name for themselves. And he just let them fucking flounder on the main roster. Now you have a better working relationship between Triple H and Shawn, and you're going to see a better it's going to gel better. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect by any means. Like nobody is, and there's always going to be flaws, and there's always going to be some people that get favored over others. It's human nature. Like you're going to have that. Like same thing. Look at all the pop figures you have, Beef. I'm sure you have one that kind of stands out to you more than another, and then maybe some other time, maybe this one's looking a little bit better to you or whatever. It's going to happen. It's a natural ebb and flow. To go way back to your original point, it was that it felt like how Poop was saying, it felt like you were underselling Triple H's ability, and I understand that we're not rooting for him to fail by any means. Like we shouldn't want either one. We shouldn't want H to fail. We shouldn't want Shawn to fail. We shouldn't want Tony to fail.
Well, we didn't want Vince to fail, honestly. But
well, that was a different story.
Easy.
Let's be careful on that one. We know there was.
We wanted Vince's heart to fail. That's what we wanted.
We wanted the product to succeed in spite of Vince, but it never was going to because of Vince.
I feel like I've taken the Ransom role here, where I'm trying to temper expectations, and you guys are like, "Oh, Triple H, oh, yes," and I'm here for it, man. I truly am. I like Triple H, the guy. I think he's a brilliant mind. I just know what he was very guilty of at his run as top guy. And we'll see. Is all I'm gonna say.
Speaking of which, I kind of want to hear Ransom's take on all this.
Oh Lord, I gotta wake up.
Rude.
Well, hey man, spade. I, as much as I like to suck on the nose, I agree with Beef on this one. You will see hiccups. We'll see stumbling blocks. I think Triple H will be able to recover from them better than maybe Vince did, or dare I say, maybe even Tony. I think there will still be bumps in the road. Like Beef said, there were Vince McMahon guys. Well, now that Triple H is in charge, there's going to be Triple H guys. And maybe some long-term plans, if they did exist under Vince McMahon, will now be different. Look at fucking Teeth McGee. He was set to be like won the Money in the Bank. He was, for all intents and purposes, going to be super featured. He was going to be like the next guy. That could be a very different plan under Triple H. He instead of challenging for one of the big titles, winds up challenging for the NXT title. Hell, like Beef said, maybe somebody takes the briefcase away from him. Maybe they pivot that far. So whenever you have a regime change, there are bound to be stumblings. There are bound to be bumps in the road. It's going to happen. I think Triple H will be able to recover from them quickly. But I don't think that he's infallible. I have high hopes, and maybe I'm getting in my own way of not being able to see the big picture because I'm so excited in the small term of what's happening now. But I think Beef's on point. Running NXT is very different than running the main roster. Now, to Putin Tom's point, Triple H did learn under the Vince McMahon tree. He wasn't just strictly NXT. Like, he learned under Vince for a very long time how Raw and SmackDown run, how that operates. He shadowed Vince for many, many years. So I think Triple H will be able to see this is what Vince did that worked really well. But this is what Vince did that didn't work quite so well. So I think he has a unique perspective. I think he has a perspective that nobody else has ever had. Because let's face it, from the time that we started watching until a couple months ago, Vince McMahon was WWE. He was the be-all, end-all. Now Triple H is in that role. He's the be-all, end-all when it comes to creative. I have high expectations and high hopes, but I'm not blind to the fact that, yes, Raw and SmackDown are different than NXT. And this is the first time that Triple H has been alone without Vince running Raw and SmackDown. So there is the potential for us to see some things that Triple H does and kind of tilt our head to the side and go, huh? But I'm confident that any oopsie daisies won't be long lasting and won't be that dramatic that we go, fucking hell, Triple H, good Lord. Oh my gosh. End of speech. Ransom.
All right. So I really hate to. I've said it like 3 times tonight. I hate to come back to this, but I mean I think we have to because it's one of the biggest news stories of 2022. The fallout from Brawl Out.
Brawlgate.
The elite seem like they're coming back. They had a little video package last night. So it seems like they're gonna come back and kind of like, have a chip on their shoulder that they were gone for so long from their company.
Is that the thing that you sent in the chat?
It is.
Okay, I didn't watch that yet, but
so. But I want to start here. I know that we talked about CM Punk, and I know we talked at length about him and this situation, but I think that this kind of bears going back to talk about a little bit more. So new findings, reports from the investigation suggest that Punk's dog Larry lost 2 teeth that had to be, fixed whenever the elite stormed in his door. At which point he kind of had an stand your ground thing happening, where he went on the offensive to be defensive. And with this, I kind of continue to float back towards the CM Punk aside a little bit more. And I don't, well, okay, but I don't have a bias here because I'm a big Kenny Omega guy. So, like, it's fair to say that I like them both equally. But I mean, like, let's be real here. Yeah, you could sit there and talk shit all you want, but the minute that somebody fucking opens up your door forcefully and hurts your dog, and let me take it a step further here.
By accident. They didn't open the door and go, "Come here, Larry."
Well, but they still, but they didn't like knock on the door and say, "Hey, CM, it's the elite." No, they like burst through the door like the fucking Kool-Aid
When
man.
you have had a problem with someone, have you ever gone in there 1000% cool-headed and everything like that?
Not at all. But if I hit somebody's dog in the face and they have to have surgery,
you would apologize after the fact,
consequences.
but that's the point. It's after the fact.
You're right. But I mean, that doesn't absolve me from being in the wrong in the first place.
Yeah, but
Here's the simple solution.
So no, let me finish my point here.
Go ahead.
I'll say this: as a man who does not have a flesh and blood child, my cat is my everything. My cat is my life. CM Punk and AJ do not have a flesh and blood child. Larry is the closest thing that he has to a child, and that Larry was injured whenever they made their fucking grand appearance. Okay, regardless of what shit was said. Like, I don't care who comes through my, like, I can sit here and talk Ransom up and down and call him the worst person in the world. And he comes and he fucking throws my door open, hits my cat in the face, and my cat has to have surgery. I'm gonna be throwing punches. Like, I don't care that I might get my ass kicked. I don't care. I don't care that, other things could potentially happen. Legal ramifications. At the end of the day, I saw the door get flung open in anger. My one of the things I care about most in this world, get hurt. And that is immediately going to, and especially on my house, that's immediately going to make me stand and take a defensive, offensive measure to be defensive.
Hold the fuck on here. Hold the big dick swinging phone on here. Why am I the bad guy in this situation?
It could have just as easily been Poot.
No. The first name that came flying free as a bird out of your mouth hole was, "Oh, fucking Ransom's coming in my door and beating up my cat." When this shit, why though?
I didn't think you beat up my cat. I'm saying, like,
man, I flung the door open and whacked a furball in the face. Now it has to have surgery, and you're throwing down with me. What did I ever do to you?
Because you and I are creatures of, like, we're emotional. We've.
Okay, yeah, we're emotional. So suddenly, Ransom's busting into doors and fucking throwing PETA to the wind and just saying, "Hey, come here, cat and dog."
Listen, man, I was making an example that if one of my best friends, let alone,
I'm not gonna stand
also
here and be
to be
insulted
fair,
as a cat beater. I'm not gonna do it.
To be fair,
I'm not gonna do what he says.
To be
all right, that's 3, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out of here. It's Modern Warfare 2 time, baby.
To be fair, thanks for bye. To be fair, though, Ransom, how many times during the podcast have you gone, "That's it, I'm on my way. Come, I'm gonna throw myself through your window"?
That's fucking true. You make me stress all the damn time.
Yep. All right. So here's the simple thing. The simple
Ransom's always the villain.
Yeah. Well, you made yourself that way. It's fine.
Shut the dirty hell up, Tom.
Play the role. play the role.
Everybody loves a villain. Just go ask Marty Skrull.
All right, I'm the bad guy here. I'm going to fully immerse in it, and just you fucking wait, you three idiots.
You don't know where I live. You never been there.
I know where everybody lives.
You don't know where I live.
Ransom, you've turned Beef into a squeaky toy.
I fucking stood outside your window and watched you mill about through your house, and you had no idea I was there. I could take you out like a scout sniper, and you wouldn't know what hit you.
Scout sniper, no. No.
That was a new noise I heard out of Beef.
Anyways, let's bring this train back on the tracks here.
So man, I'm about to piss my pants.
Wow. So, Beef.
Yeah.
I'm not absolving CM Punk or the Elite, the collective bargaining party, from any wrongdoing. Yeah, from any wrongdoings. But I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the Elite barge into CM Punk's dressing room?
I get it, man.
No?
But
now.
Yeah.
So they did that. That wasn't the right way for them to handle it. So yeah, they're absolutely in the wrong in that. But was it in the right place for CM Punk to say what he said? Because that really, granted, they probably said and did shit behind the scenes. I don't doubt that for a second. I get it. Okay, I get it. Being the bad guy and having your name fucking run through.
You don't get it. I get it.
All
Shut up, Ransom,
I'm trying to do.
Your points are stupid and immaterial.
All that I am trying to say is that
you want me to be the
spent
bad guy now? I'm going to do it.
several weeks like railing on CM Punk, talking about how he's selfish and a quitter and all this. Other, and you know what? Like, there's definitely some of that, but honestly, I understand a little bit more about how things went. And again, 100%. He's a loudmouth that fucking went off when he shouldn't have gone off. But like, again, I expect people to deal with the consequences of their actions.
I get it. So, you're not wrong.
Can I ask an honest to God question here? I'm gonna.
Ransom. Go ahead.
What are you? You know what?
I was. No offense, man. There was no offense, man.
No, man. Offense.
Okay.
Look, honest to God, though, what does this have to do with the price of tea in China? We have talked ad nauseum about how they're both in the wrong. They've both done things that neither one of them should have done. CM Punk, shut your mouth. Elite, stay out of people's locker rooms. Freaking Kenny Omega, stop being a ransom guy and breaking into people's houses and beating up pets. Yeah, they're both in the wrong, and no one at this point is going to be absolved from anything. At the end of the day, they're both naughty, shame on you bad guys, Ransom beating up cats.
I was just saying, I was just trying to bring a little bit more illumination, because I think that when we, and I mean it was kind of the same thing with Vince McMahon. Like, when we berated him for doing something so fucking stupid and so fucking vain and selfish, like I felt like we needed to then go back and say, you know what, here's what he did right. So I think that, for us sitting here like wailing on CM Punk for weeks, I think it was important to just say, hey, this is why it happened. I get it. I see it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I understand the mentality a little bit more now.
Well, I get it. I'm not saying it's right, but
well, the fact is that they barged in there because he fucking ran his mouth at a press conference and basically said "fuck you" to Tony Khan while he's sitting right next to them.
They were both, at the end of the day, they're both wrong.
Putin and Ransom run their mouth all the damn time in this show. They fucking talk their shit all the time. I don't fucking go into their house.
What are you talking about? What the hell do I run my fucking mouth?
You always run your mouth about me.
I'm the one that's
fucking
apparently
Claude.
assaulting felines.
You want me to run my mouth off? Ransom, that's it. 2-man power trip, buddy.
Fuck these guys. Let's go play Modern Warfare.
All right, awesome.
Anyway. My question is, though, now, Beef, my question here is this.
Yes.
So this package, this vignette or whatever, ran for the Elite.
Yeah.
New evidences came to light. The Elite beats up dogs. If Punk doesn't come back, is it Mike? honestly though, is it pretty much just him going, I've had it. I've had enough. You done fucking did it.
No, I really think that AEW and Tony Khan really feel that their differences are irreconcilable.
Between Tony and Punk, or between Punk and the Elite?
Both.
Maybe both.
Probably both. I mean,
Okay, all right.
because I mean, honestly, and I hate to fucking have double speech here, but I mean, Punk crossed a lot of fucking lines that night.
Yes.
And I mean, again, he did it because Hangman brought that shit out. So
that's not a good excuse. And just like it's not a good excuse for the Elite to go barging in the room, 100%. I get it. You're 100%.
Listen, but I'm explaining how A got to B. So at the end of the day, Punk should have realized that he's in the fucking Elite's house, and you don't go fucking kicking dogs in other people's houses.
Yeah, regardless,
apparently.
It's not about it being in the Elite's house. It's about the fact that he pulled what he did so unprofessionally, right next to, not even 5 feet away from your boss, from the dude
but Hangman Page dropping that shit on national TV without talking about it with him, that was professional.
Yeah, remind us, what did Hangman Page say that was so fucking horribly erroneous?
He brought up the dirty laundry about Punk and Colt Cabana.
What did he say exactly with that?
Everybody fucking knows that, and everybody kind of probably went, oh yeah, that's right, that's a thing that happened anyway.
Here's the thing, Tom. Despite what CM Punk said with Tony Khan right beside him, that's for Tony Khan to handle with CM Punk. That's not for the Elite to go and confront CM Punk on Tony Khan's behalf. Tony Khan's a grown-ass man.
Agreed.
You handle your own shit. The Elite should have been like, oh, fuck, man, fucking CM Punk's mouthing off. And if they had issue with it, they should have gone to Tony and been like, hey, man, what this dude said wasn't cool. You got to go talk to him.
I agree.
And a lot of it was because
most parties did it dirty. So you can't just say, well, the Elite did this because of blah, blah, blah.
Listen, I'm not
you
disagreeing
did.
with you. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. Listen, they're both in the wrong, but what was the fucking match? What was the gasoline on the fire? It was fucking CM Punk.
It was Hangman Page.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's interesting.
I absolutely think that if Hangman Page doesn't say the shit that he does, I don't think that CM Punk, goes off in his fucking tirade about fucking working with children. I don't think that fucking happens.
The tirade of the century.
Doesn't have a fucking meltdown at
Scrum.
The Great Bomb. If CM Punk doesn't have the Great Bomb, I don't think that we see the Elite show up, and I don't, it's a different situation. So it's all precipitated from that Hangman Page comment.
Can we just take a second to appreciate the term Gripe Bomb, by the way?
Fuck it. Fire Hangman Adam Page then. Who gives a fuck? Next. What a fucking dickhole. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's cancel it all. Who gives a fuck?
And again, I was not trying to spur this whole big fucking debate. I'm not trying to get people to take sides. I was just saying, hey man, we've been talking pretty dirty on Punk here the last couple of weeks. I just want to say this to get this out there.
But the impetus on Punk talking shit and causing problems is a historic thing with Punk. This is not something fucking new. This is something that Punk fucking just does. He leaves a wake of fucking drama, in his fucking wake.
So even with your friends, you have things that there's a line you don't cross. That there are things that you don't joke about. That there are things that you don't bring up, even in the fucking heat of battle.
Yeah, you don't break into people's houses and smash their cat in the face.
Right.
There are just. It was an example. You son of a bitch. My point here is that I think that, especially because fucking Scotty Goldman disappeared the minute the Punk showed up, everyone was like, "Oh fuck, this is an eggshell issue," and. And if
everybody would have just fucking ignored it, then who would have cared?
Well, and if the fucking sky was green and the grass was blue, then what kind of world do we live in? You can't sit here, what if it? But regardless, the fact that
and let's just say this: CM Punk is a fucking certified legend. Hangman Page has yet to leave his mark on the industry.
Okay,
well,
so
you gotta pick a battle.
The whole thing
wrong turn doesn't deserve another.
Agree.
Tom,
agree.
But it was a spiral of people making
Tom, what are you
bad
going
decisions.
on about?
It was 100%. I was just pointing out the precipitating event, and
right, no, I get
it. Because again, we've buried Punk, and I'm trying to at least put a shovel in the dirt here.
To Poot's point, the reason why we went so hard on Punk is because we went with what information we had at the time, and now
that there is more information, I was trying to lead that out and say, here's what we know now.
Yeah, but
here's why I'm walking it back.
Beef, let him finish his point, man. I don't want to hear him say Jesus fucking Christ one more time.
Jesus fucking Christ, Poot. Anyways. The point is when you started presenting that information, you started kind of coming from the perspective of being a Punk apologist again, with the whole he doesn't have a kid, and I understand that because I don't have a kid, and my cat and my blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, fucking Elite or dumb scumbags for busting into his room. We get that. The whole point.
Scumbags.
The whole point. Of us bagging on Punk for so long is because we had what information we had at the time, one, and two is we have a historic record of Punk being a fucking dickbag like he had been before. So it shouldn't have surprised us that he was a fucking dickbag 5 feet away from Tony, basically telling him fuck off and carrying on with whatever he needed to spew out of his fat fucking face. Both sides were wrong. Both sides were dumb. Fucking let's move on.
Also, can I have 1 second to just say dumb scumbags? Dumb scumbags. Dumb scumbags.
Hey, I'm gonna ask a question.
Is it a off of Jump's question?
No, off of something that Beef had brought up. Oh, I don't care. Fucking leave.
Fucking leave.
Beef had said something about FTR.
Yeah.
Not really being heavily featured at the moment in AEW.
Yeah,
no, what were you going to say?
And they lost the #1 contendership last night. Listen, man, I feel like everybody at this point is like, man, give FTR the fucking AEW titles. They have every other titles in the goddamn universe. Give them the AEW titles. And Tony Khan's like, nah, bruh.
Swerve them. They don't need them necessarily. They have every other title in the world right now.
So going off of that thought of FTR losing their #1 contendership, not having the AEW tag titles, do you think there is maybe some buyer's remorse from FTR and even maybe some other people that are in AEW now thinking, boy, if I would have just either wrote it out in WWE, or if I would have just stayed on the independents for a little bit, now that Triple H is back and he's bringing back all these NXT guys that he built and found value in, do you think there are people in AEW now, maybe like FTR, that are going, oh, poo. Well, we're in the situation that we're in now, but what if?
Well, and here's my
to name a few. Miro, Andrade, that's for fucking certain. FTR, especially since they're pretty good friends with Orton, I'm pretty sure that they're in that boat. Probably fucking Swerve, I'm betting, especially seeing as he saw Hit Row come back. Brian fucking Cage, who has been seen, every now and again. Hell, fucking probably Lance Archer. Guys that just aren't being fucking featured at all. I mean, they and I mean, grass is always greener, right?
Right. Well, here's the thing: that if they're in their boat now, so guess what? You waited out here. If you think you could have had a better chance if you waited it out under the fucking Vince regime and everything else that was going on then you wait it out now and then fucking cross that bridge when you get to it.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not leading into like, should they be no showing and
no,
another thing. Like,
okay,
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just
right.
I'm thinking like, like what if they would have known that Vince's time was ticking?
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Like, would there have been more people that maybe would have done like one or two offs here and there with AEW,
probably
might not have signed contracts with them for multi-year deals, knowing like, hey, I'll be back in Triple H here in a hot minute. I'm gonna hang out.
Yeah, probably, but I'm sure it. There's also the contributing factors that hey, money talks, and I mean, you want some sort of stable income. You want something solid. You don't want to just and I don't say this disparagingly to independent wrestling or whatever, but you don't want to just be working indies. You want the best. You want the best opportunity for yourself. If you're a performer, you want that time on television. Just the same as I'm sure, if when I say this, calm yourself, Poot. When you're a musician, you want to get out of the scene where you're playing locally or whatever and get to playing, on the East Coast, and then maybe playing nationally, and then maybe internationally. Like, I'm sure everybody wants to strive.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, you always want the best for yourself. So if that's what they thought was the best opportunity, so be it. But it's always hindsight is 2020, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully that's something that they can use. I'm not saying to the absolutely same degree, because in the case of MJF, it works for him, but hopefully they can use it toward a bargaining chip for themselves and be like, hey, listen, you brought me on, the whole reason why I left was because I felt like I was being underutilized. What can we do? Because if I'm unhappy, then we need to make some changes or something like that. And it could be the fact that maybe some of these people just aren't coming up with that great of ideas or something like that, because AEW is not heavily scripted or whatever. It's a lot of the talent kind of doing their own thing creatively. Maybe some of them just aren't coming up with good enough shit. That could be a strong possibility. It happens. I mean, you could have somebody come up with an idea.
But is that on them though? Like, isn't that Tony's job too? And shouldn't Tony have people for that? Like,
he does. He should have people for it. But that's the thing. This comes into the growing pains that we've talked about that AEW would go through. They don't have nearly as many, I assume they don't have nearly as many people involved. I assume they don't have writers like how WWE has writers for people that will work with certain sets of talents and stuff like that. So it's kind of a different world as far as the creative process goes.
I will scream this from the rooftops. They don't have enough TV time.
AEW?
For their roster size.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, they should be running. They need to have
a dual roster like WWE does.
Absolutely. Rampage should be 2 hours, not 1.
And it should be a completely different set of people, different set of titles. And if we're being honest, a different night. Why go? And I get like that. They're SmackDown is kind of the lead into Rampage, but like, why have a Friday night at 10 o'clock when you could have fucking Thursday night at 8 o'clock? Like, you run up against the NFL, and that's
Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast, and go fuck yourselves. That's why.
Fair enough. but I mean, like, they'd be running on a pose. Like, you have the NFL, like, 16 weeks a year.
Well,
and like, you have Impact.
Because they already go up against the gun with baseball and basketball. So
right, hockey. It's just like Friday night at 10 o'clock is just a terrible time slot. Just a terrible fucking time slot.
Honestly, maybe that's all they were offered.
It's possible.
I mean,
I'm hoping that this AEW, that the Ring of Honor TV deal comes out sooner than later.
Yeah,
I think that's why they brought on the Kingdom. Maria and Matt Kanellis with Matt Taven. They are the newest AEW signees. I think that's why they brought Willow on.
I thought the Kingdom was in Impact, or are they doing a dual thing?
They were, but they're not anymore.
Oh, they're not anymore. Okay.
They showed up on Rampage
Very
2
cool.
weeks ago.
Good.
So yeah, I mean, I think that they're absolutely angling and counting on the Ring of Honor show to be like a separate branding for them. We'll see. I just like I think that I don't know, man. I just want them to have more time to let more talent succeed because yeah, a guy like Miro sitting on the sidelines is just not good for business.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree.
All right, we've talked enough. It's time.
Now we're gonna
wait. There's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. Nobody? Mark Henry? Okay, well, I guess I'm the only one that watches Rampage every now and again. All right. So let's do some Stump the Champs here. Old Patty O'Shannon. He loves when I fucking say that to him. He'll be pissed when he hears that. He sent us another question this week. And in all seriousness, man, thanks Pat for keeping the segment afloat because, you know, God knows without you this would have been a fucking dead segment. You know, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we just go back to asking each other like we did before.
That's true.
Hot tag trivia.
You mean
back?
Yeah, you mean a dead segment, kind of like I don't know, collar elbow tie up. But anyway, go
on.
He fucking did it.
All right, so listen.
All right.
For all the shit that Dave has talked, like we turned him upside down like a fucking top, and then we haven't heard shit from him since. He talked all this shit about the mid-card maniac, haven't heard shit from him since. Dave, you're on notice. Pat, here's your question. Thank you again for this question. Keep in mind that this was sent as of October 27th, 2022. Thanks, Pat, for letting all of our viewers know that sometimes we don't go over these for fucking months at a time. This was sent today, Pat. So we're reading your question today. Who? So I guess that this is important because if we would have waited a month, it may have changed. Who has eliminated the most people at Survivor Series? I'm assuming that he's talking Lifetime.
Well,
I know that Roman Reigns has eliminated a ton of motherfuckers.
Are you thinking the Royal Rumble?
No, I'm thinking at Survivor Series. I know that he's maybe he's been the source of. I don't know who has eliminated the most. So like
Orton's the first name that I think of.
Who single-handedly has pinned the most people, I guess, is the question.
Well, I would say pinned or submitted.
Yeah, in the traditional Survivor Series matches.
Orton and Cena were the first two that popped into my head. But didn't
sorry, that's not a response to you.
No, but Orton Orton is the one that popped into my head. But like thinking back, like way back in the day, was it more insane back in the day?
What do you mean by insane?
Like more like what wasn't there?
So guys like Hogan and Warrior and them, they didn't have like the benefit of Survivor Series being around for a ton of their career. Really, Survivor Series kind of came about towards the tail end of their impact, if you will.
Oh yeah, because it wasn't.
It was like maybe the first one was 89.
Was it a yearly one at that point though?
Yes.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But it didn't start until late into their careers. Is what it's like into their WWE careers. Whereas like guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, that was when they were in their fucking prime. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, what about Triple H, man?
No, because Triple H wasn't a part of a whole lot.
Yeah, and he was champion for like honestly, a lot of them.
You know what? I'm sticking to my guns with Orton because I remember this being a thing last year with Survivor Series leading up to it. I remember them making a big deal with it with like little different vignettes saying that, you know, like how Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, Randy Orton is like the man at Survivor Series. Like he's always been in the traditional matches and stuff, and he's always had a bunch of eliminations, whether or not he was on the winning team or not. You know, I'm sticking to my guns and I'm saying Orton. That's my gut shot right there.
Fucking Tom apparently ready to put this one to bed.
I really am. I really am.
Ransom, you know some things.
Listen. If I'm wrong, Pat can have my spot for 2 weeks in a row.
All right, that's getting about as old as I'm not doing my fucking task. We can stop saying that.
No, but I like. How often does Tom come in hot with that? Where he's like, "This, I'm done."
Yep, it's got to be Orton. I'm telling you.
And I'm not trying to cut this short. I'm not trying to like belittle this question, but seriously, how often does Tom do that?
I would at least like to hear from Ransom.
Go for it.
Oh God.
That's his
loins waiting for gunshots.
You sounded like AOL dial-up rebooting.
Yeah, I gotta hit my AOL or my 1998 dial-up modem. I think Tom is right.
Okay.
I think because I really can't think of too many people that have even participated in as many as Randy Orton has to have probably the most participations, which would lead me to believe that he probably has the most eliminations because he usually does pretty well in the Survivor Series matches.
Oh yeah, he's been a sole survivor quite a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. Shawn Michaels has been in a bunch. Oddly enough, Big Show has been in a bunch too.
Yep.
So their records might be up there, but I think it's probably Randy Orton. I have a hard time seeing anybody else that would surpass that. I mean, yeah, Cena did, but Cena's been gone for a while, and Orton's still there.
And I don't think that Cena had a ton of like traditional Survivor Series matches either.
Well, that's true because I wouldn't for most of them. He probably would have wound up being in title matches.
Right, same as Triple H. Right.
Triple H would have been in a lot of title matches.
Same as The Rock, same as Austin. Like that. That's what I'm saying. Like
Batista probably would have been in a lot of title matches too.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they probably had the rogue appearances here and there, but like, yeah, I think Orton is a very safe pick. All right, I'm here for it. So I can go all in. All right, Mid-Card Maniac
Orton
might have us. You might not. We'll see in just a moment. If you get this, you are all awesome. Always look forward to each episode. Thanks, Pat. The answer is Mr. Randall Keith Orton with 16 eliminations.
You can't see it, but I'm definitely full on Randy Orton posing right now.
I feel it. You know what else I feel? Another sad attempt by the Mid-Card Maniac.
Oh, here we go, boys. Get ready.
We appreciate it, though. Pat, please continue these attempts because they make us feel good, and they make for good on-air segments. But, sadly, your attempt this week, much like all of your Choose the Right title attempts,
that nut button ready,
end in sadness because once again, Mid-Card Maniac, you lose. And you get nothing.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Poot?
Nut.
Poot?
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Yeah. Oh God. All right, let's breathe. I don't want a nut burrito.
Can we take that away from him?
No.
Oh, I think Goldberg's coming back for Crown Jewel.
Oh, no, I'm having a stroke.